Let me get to Albert in Chicago, Illinois. Albert, YesGunner, I believe. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how you doing, James?
Doing well.
All right.
How
Just
about you?
wanted to touch base. I'm doing great. This is YesGunner, by the way.
Yeah, I remember you. Are you? Have you called into my show before?
I called in before, but so maybe like a year or so.
Yeah, I remember hearing you on
Uh,
Anchor Babe a couple times. It's good to hear from you, or a
yeah,
few times
I
actually.
recently
I
called
think
maybe
you
like
might have called him sort of recently, actually, too.
no, well, more than I did call recently. Maybe like 2 weeks ago, more than 2 weeks ago or so.
Good to hear from you, sir.
Just want to see your want to pose the same question I posed to him differently. Obviously, you know what's going on in Chicago. It's been like forced uh forced apprehension of undocumented people or people that are presumed to be undocumented. Uh, they've been taken into like unmarked vehicles, obviously, then taken to a suburb outside of Chicago and processed for deportation. A lot of it has been, Mexicans, some Venezuelans, and whatnot. I have people that are close to me that I adore, hold dear to my heart, that want to go out to protest. I don't find it favorable to do that because I'm like I stay away from it. I don't want to like be involved in it, even though I'm Mexican myself. Uh, they still say, hey, well, you gotta. These are your people, and I just want to see your advice or what are your thoughts on that? Like, obviously, I'm not gonna go to these protests. I don't want to be a part of something that I don't, agree to on both sides.
Yeah, I would. I'm with your inkling to stay out of it, and don't argue with your friends who want to go out there or anything. You don't give them unsolicited advice. Definitely. If they ask you and you tell them, and then they want to argue with you, don't argue with them. The usual advice about don't fight with people and stay away from trouble because that's trouble. A lot of times the protesters, like, they say, oh, it's mostly peaceful. It's possible to get out there and get away with everything because you're just peacefully doing your First Amendment, I guess. But I would stay clear of it, especially since you don't agree with either side. It sounds like you don't agree with the rounding up, the way that they're doing it, and you don't agree with the people protesting because some of the protesters are not for America, and I think of you as being for pro America. Uh, so yeah, I agree with you. Stay out, stay clear, and wish your friends well, and wish the ICE people well.
yeah, yeah, that's the part about it where I just like, they're comparing this to a time in history, you know, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they're comparing
So
it to
I'm
the.
just like,
I'm gonna say it. They're comparing it to the Nazi stuff, rounding up the
yes,
Jews.
yeah, and to me that's like, okay, what are we doing here? I'm more like, really, it's different, but I mean, way different. And and my thing what about it was that when this happened during Obama, it was worse. It
Obama
wasn't.
was deporting a bunch. Was he rounding up a bunch and it just wasn't reported?
Because people have social media and phones readily available,
Yeah. So it's more.
yep.
And Trump called a lot of
It,
attention to the fact that he's going to do these mass deportations. So everybody's overreacting to Trump. People were protesting Obama's deportations a lot on the
yeah, but it
radical side.
wasn't but it wasn't prevalent. It
Yeah,
was like,
that's for
okay,
sure.
I when I was here in Chicago back in those days, like, yeah, it was heard of, but even then, like, when I didn't have a political affiliation, I'm like, why am I gonna go do that? Then I hear like people are throwing rocks, and it's like, is that what I'm gonna go do? And then
Yeah.
show them how much they hate us, and show that part of me. And my thing with that is just it's ridiculous to go protest, but right now it's just getting to a point where everywhere they're at, they'll have people with whistles. They're being doxxed. Their locations. It's gotten worse, but I remain optimistic in this. I want to see something good come out of it, whether that's ending the way they're doing it or finding a way to do it, because it's it's not right, man. Like, to me, it's not right, but that's just my opinion. And I know some people just have a different. Oh, well, let's round them all up and ship them out. Like, I get it. I get it.
Which
But
thing are you?
it's not the way to be done.
Which thing are you saying is
But
not right?
rounding up the illegals the way they are. I get it. I can't go to a country and demand things. I can't go to a country and demand rights or the right to work there. I'm saying, okay, we're Mexican. Let's do a revolution in Mexico. Let's do something different. Why don't you guys demand a better life? But there is people that are funding these protests that don't want illegals to go out because they're obviously profiting off their labor.
Yeah.
Why would they want to pay an American, a living wage when they could pay an illegal migrant little to nothing? That's not uncommon to hear. Well, here we are. There's going to be a No Kings protest. I'm not sure when. I think this weekend. And I guess these standoffs that are happening between residents of Chicago and ICE, just getting worse. I do believe, Christy, when she says that there's hits on them by cartels, just the way that ICE has been getting treated.
Oh, so the cartels are wanting to do hits on ICE?
Yeah, that was all over the news, as she was saying, and some local
Christy
articles
Christy Noam. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I don't know if that's true or not. That's like Trump is already kind of declaring war on the cartels, and if they escalate it by killing an ICE agent, they're bringing fiery wrath upon themselves. That's crazy. That would be justification for invading Mexico or wherever these cartels are. That's crazy.
I mean, who is to say?
Yeah.
How do we know if there's any truth to that, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
But you do see it. You do have people that are activists that are really harassing and monitoring people, or ICE agents that are going around the city. I feel for the hardworking people, but it's not my call to make and want to change or see a change. Because I'm not the president. I'm not in the administration. I'm just a local citizen. I don't have the answers to see how we're going to do this situation. But I'm all for deporting the criminals. But I'm not for deporting the hardworking man, which has really been a big issue here in Chicago, and it's pretty bad. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Why aren't you for deporting the hardworking illegals?
Because they want an opportunity at this country, right?
Yes.
They want to do something good. But here we are, we're letting, Pajits come in from India, and stay here and use our resources in a sense, like taking tech jobs.
And that's
tech jobs rather hire somebody.
Yeah, that's not right either.
I'm trying to rephrase this.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I against the deportation of the hardworking man?
Yeah.
I'm Mexican myself, man.
I knew it. and you know them. It's kind of like knowing a gay, and it's almost like knowing a gay and going soft on the gays. This is why we don't trust you people. This is why this diversity stuff doesn't work, because you're gonna have like a little bit more of a soft spot. And I know them too. I'm not as close with the illegals anymore, because I'm just not in San Gabriel Valley anymore, and I don't keep in touch with my friends like that. But right is still right, right? Meaning right being it's right to deport. Explaining that in that they're here illegally, whether it's an overstayed visa or they crossed illegally or whatever, and is it right that they're here illegally, or is it right that they be deported?
It's right that they're here working hard under the table, breaking no law.
Breaking no law other than immigration law.
Yeah, the law of the land, huh?
Yeah.
It's right where they say, hey, I've known people close to me that say, I have nothing in Mexico.
Yeah.
I have nothing. This country is all I knew. I have a friend. I'm going to put so much of his business out there. 33 years old, 34. He came here when he was 5. Married a citizen, and he, whatever, they separated. She kind of took him to court and said, I'm not going to give him papers. And he's worried for his life. But he grew up here.
Yeah.
He loves this country. He knows that if he goes to Mexico, is deported, he has nothing over there.
Right. Nothing set up for himself other than whatever opportunities will be there. Yeah.
Do I have sympathy? Yeah, maybe I have sympathy for those around me. Now, the rest of the people that are out there, I'm just like, man, oh, well, what a shame, but it's not something I can change. It's just, it sucks, because, that's all I hear around me.
Most of your illegal friends and their children and their children who are Americans, because many of them become Americans when they're born here, right?
Yeah.
Would they support Trump or would they support Kamala?
I'll say this: in my house, we're patriots. I don't care what anybody says.
Mm-hmm.
I have a flag. I have my MAGA hat. I have a White Lives Matter shirt. I'm a patriot. I believe in something that's. I believe in something that's given me a good job, a good place to live, a good country. I like to be able to know that I'll be able to travel outside this country and come back. I like what the country has stand for. I've yet to visit so many historic places in this country, but I love this country.
Yeah.
But I'm also proud to have that Mexican heritage.
Right.
It's believe it or not, Latinos, Mexicans are conservative by heritage, conservative by religion, I guess, by Catholicism, even though I'm not Catholic, but we know what's right and wrong. I'm not going to say, Mexico sends its best people, but, people that want to be here and work here, don't want to go back to Mexico. It's just the way it's being done. It sucks, because has everybody around me scared. And I'm just like, oh, this is what you wanted. I'm waiting to hear that. I haven't heard that yet, but I'm waiting to hear that. And it's like,
you're waiting to hear your friends and family say, this is what you wanted. You voted for Trump. You voted for this mess that's happening to our community.
I could care less how they're going to feel about that, but it's more like, man, I'm waiting for them to just point the finger any moment.
But if they're so conservative by nature, why do most of them, correct me if I'm wrong, vote so liberal? They're like for Obama, not for Trump. They think Trump is racist. Don't you notice that?
I want to say maybe it's the Gen Z, the millennials here, the first generation Mexicans over here.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just more like, well, we're going to give you guys papers if you guys vote for us. That's all they hear. We're going to give you guys amnesty. We're going to give you guys resources, job permit. One thing that they did do here in Chicago was give driver's license to undocumented residents.
Yeah, they did that in L.A. too.
And then there was like a little lettering on the license that showed that they were immigrants. And they felt discriminated, saying, hey, we're not getting hired for driving, jobs because it was lettering in our license. So then they worked to get that removed. And now you couldn't tell who's undocumented or not from looking at their ID.
Yeah. That's funny, man. Well, it's funny that you're using the term undocumented when it's on their ID. It's documented.
Illegal alien, undocumented, illegal immigrant. I don't know, man.
Because my friend said, I'm here illegally. That's how I knew he was illegal. Like, I didn't know he was illegal for years, 10 years. He was like a star runner and everything. And then he's like, I'm here illegally. And then he told me something about racism. I'm like, racism is made up. It's just used to make white people look bad or try to smear white people for telling the truth or whatever. And then that stuck with him, and then he realized, you know what, you're right. And I don't know if he's illegal anymore or not, whatever, but he's like, that really changed things for him, and he really turned around. And he told me that years later. I forgot I told him that. And so there's good and bad illegals, of course. I'm with you. But right is still right, man.
Yeah.
And then most of these people are they can be validated by the Democrats, bribed by the Democrats for continuing to do wrong. Because as you know, if you don't have borders and a decently strict immigration law, exceptions to the rule, I'm for exceptions to the rule, but if we're speaking like men, a strong immigration law where we're like, all the illegals, they got to go home, then you don't have a country. And a lot of times illegals and people who are facing crimes and stuff like that, they get so in their heads and scared that they'll run out onto the 210 freeway down here in LA area, suburbs, and get themselves run over, or they'll kill somebody or get shot by cops or shoot cops. And that's so crazy. It's not necessarily what you think it's going to be. If you go down to Mexico where there's nothing for you, not you personally, but
of course,
these people, I had a friend, Ignacio, who called in, who was deported because, I don't know, he was driving without a license or something. And he said it was tough, but he reunited with his father, and it was actually for the better. And he was working and had his own business going because he was living with his mother and sister up here. Talk about separating families, right? Immigration separates families. So anyway, my point is, like, it's going to be fine.
Okay, I got you this. All right. That's a jolly way to put it.
Yeah.
We deport everybody.
Yeah.
All right?
Yes.
The white race isn't improving, brother.
I know
you
that.
You guys are not having kids.
I know.
God forbid, you're not having a kid. You're not married.
Right.
You know, the white race is going to go down. Who's going to fill in the positions? At least over half of the cooks here in Chicago, downtown, all Mexican. And they're kick-ass in the kitchen.
Right.
The best cooks. You get rid of these people, well, who's going to fill in those job positions?
We're going to have bland food.
Dorky business people.
We're going to have
dorky white people working these business positions, man.
We'll figure it out. Well, the point is, like, it's not going to happen like what you and I are talking about. It just won't, because there's people who are quote unquote American here now. They were born here, and we haven't gotten rid of the anchor. Like you said, that young man that you know was brought in at 5 years old, married an American woman, and the American woman is going to, like, divorce him or whatever and say, oh, I'm not going to fix your papers because she's a malicious woman, going to use the laws against him because she's a nasty. We've allowed stuff to go on so wrong for so long that now it's painful to fix it, whereas we should have nipped it in the bud, but we didn't. And that's what the communists want to do, is make it so that it's so tough and complicated to make things right again. It's like when you give blacks welfare and then you pull it away from them. It's like, what the heck? What are we going to do now? We've been relying on this.
Yeah.
Not just blacks.
Of course, they don't want to, pick up themselves from their boots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree, Hake. It's been great talking to you. I mean, you put it lightly. Yeah, it was good to hear your thoughts on it, your 2 cents.
So were you for what happened before World War II or right around World War II? Out of curiosity.
What about it?
What the Germans allegedly did, rounding up people? Was that right, what they did?
What about?
Or do you know?
I don't think it was right, but to compare what's going on now to what's going on then, I mean, hey.
Also, man, there's a lot of stuff to fix. Like you brought up the fact that going back to reality with the whites not making babies and stuff. If we got rid of this subsidized education and subsidized birth control and stuff like that, people would start making babies again, maybe. If we started, did something about this pornography stuff. I don't know what you can do, but I don't know.
No, man. I don't know. I don't know if you saw there's going to be SEX ChatGPT.
Yeah,
coming soon.
Yeah, it's actually not going to get better. But I think that, you know, people, the younger generations, you may have indicated this, are turning back to Christianity a little bit. And it's
Yeah.
not perfect the way
A
they're
few-
doing it, but things might correct themselves a touch, or else we'll just continue and you know, America's gone, basically. It's the Roman Empire. It's gone.
No, of course. Every country has fallen, and I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
we're seeing the downfall of it, but no, I do have hope, you know, in the Groypers. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a
they
fan
seem-
of them. I'm a fan of them,
No,
except
yeah,
that they're hateful. But who's not hateful? Who's not hateful?
I mean,
It's not even a.
who's not wicked, right?
Yeah. Anyway,
It's been great talking to you, man.
you as well. Take care.
All right, take care, Hake. Bye bye.
YesGunner. Shout out. It's over.